The world moves fast, and your payroll should too. Real-time payroll is here. No more waiting weeks for your team to get paid. It's accurate, compliant, and built for the speed of global business. Real-time payroll, powered by Deel.
As the economy grew globally, right, we started to see more and more the advent of global payroll, multi-country payroll requirements, much bigger footprints. And there weren't many vendors who were eager nor willing, because of the return on investment being quite a challenge. To go after that, we started getting concepts like the long tail, and who was keen to pursue that. So the appetite was interesting. But at the end of the day, right, we've got 194 countries around the world. They're each vastly different in what they require, on the compliance side, and that talks directly to your concept of de-risking, and then saying, okay, well, who wants to be the best athlete out there and actually, making that happen for the customers. And the latest one we've seen to layer on that global payroll is then obviously the employer of record concept, right, which is now actually employing and paying people around the globe, not necessarily having the company infrastructure for that, which is hugely exciting. That space, global payroll and the EOR, is largely underpinned by in-country providers, right? So there's a bit of a manual process there that largely exists, and that's been quite challenging, for customers to look through. But what that did do on the global space was then also give opportunity for what we saw as aggregators, right? Vast movements up and down this whole space, and that, if we think about it, has been since about 1998, everything I've just spoken there. So very interesting, in how that has transpired around that, and setting the opportunity for what we went after and where we sit now. So yeah, having been acquired by Deel and sitting in the stable and now leading that space from a technological perspective on this global stage, and scale is hugely exciting, to be part of that journey still. So where does the priority lie? That's the mission critical moving part. So to get that right is exactly the challenge though, right? And ultimately from the data perspective, it comes down to, has the architecture of that system been done in such a way that it can actually configure those nuances, right? Because otherwise you don't get the source to be at a standardized format and actually originate, correctly. So the power does sit there, and we haven't actually seen this before, right? It's only really starting to hit its straps now. And it is bringing to light for the customers, the excitement around saying, okay, wow, we didn't know it's possible, right? It is now possible. It's happening out there, and it speeds everything up, and it really then allows you to use the data in a better fashion rather than always just trying to get to the original answer first to start off with. There's a lot of talk about AI and HR, right? And that's a lot more applicable generally, and I say that with respect, but what we've seen is like when you look at the employee focus side of it, right? And then it's a thing of, okay, giving a reason to the employee where they can actually just say, listen, how was my payslip calculated and why is there a difference, right? So identifying the difference on the one side using AI is the one thing, but then actually using the data from the large language models in AI and combining that with the actual employee data who's asking the question. And saying, right, so the reason that there is a difference is because there was a change in tax tables in your country. And the example in your case is you therefore saw that your pension changed. And in your case, it was, $1,000 and that's gone to, 1,200 or whatever the case is. So it's that merging of that information, right? And then on the admin side, and when we particularly talk global payroll, it's a case of saying, okay, well, if I'm looking for standardization, well, tell me every single component. My policy for, travel says X. Well, then is the setup of those wage types around the globe consistent to that? So they're asking AI and saying, give me all of my wage types that tie into travel. Are they taxed? Aren't they taxed, etc.? So we're seeing good outcomes on that, right? But interestingly enough, what AI is not really doing well on is performing the actual calculation and the accuracy of that, right? And it can source the information to give you an outcome, but we've seen there that it's not accurate. And in payroll, if you're 1 cent off, well, we know the ramifications in emerging markets and what that could look like.
With most providers, Payroll processing can take days, bogged down by endless emails, files, lots of back and forth. Now, with our native payroll engine, everything is on platform in one place, delivering instant gross to net calculations, giving you much more time to make those inevitable last-minute changes. Also, our new unified design provides a seamless user experience across all countries, so you don't need a local expert for each payroll that you run.